2016 has had some good films, but God almighty, it's had a few stinkers. And now it's time to rank them, the top 10 worst movies of 2016. And I'll tell you folks, yesterday you got the good, today you're getting the bad, and for a lot of these movies, the downright fucking ugly. Let's begin with dishonorable mentions, the movies that are really, really bad, but just not really, really bad enough to make this list. But you should still avoid these films like the plague. Ride Along 2. It's the same movie as the first one, yet even worse. How is that possible? Inferno. I love Ron Howard, I love Tom Hanks, but for the love of God, please stop making these Dan Brown movies. They are horrible. Keeping Up with the Joneses. Terrible movie, great ad for Mercedes. What else we have? 999. Oh, sorry, I just remembered 999. It's terrible, boring. Fuck it. Go away. The Do-Over. Netflix, why? Why are you making Adam Sandler movies? You're doing the universe no favours. Just stop. Stop making Adam Sandler movies. He isn't funny. Just stop soiling your name, Netflix. It's not chill. And Monster Trucks. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's not a good movie. No, Monster Trucks, just ew, go away. And now it's time for the top 10. And I'm not going to start off with a movie that made me angry. I'm going to start off with a movie that disappointed me. My number 10, and that would be Warcraft. Now I know I don't play World of Warcraft, but I love fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, all that. So I was looking forward to this because not only is it fantasy, but this should have been the first really good video game movie. It had Duncan Jones, a director who has made good films, like really good films like Moon and Source Code, and it was just a real letdown. Like, the mythology just felt convoluted. Like, they just threw you in the deep end, which for a non-Warcraft player, that really alienated me from the movie. Just like, I had no idea what was going on. The performances weren't that great. Like, Ben Foster is just laughable in the movie, like the least convincing wizard you will ever see. He just looked like a guy who should be selling drugs around the corner from like a supermarket, like shady fucking drug dealer. And just, it's disappointing. The story was a bit shit. The characters were bland. Like, the human characters were just non-existent. Like, just blech. The orcs were fine. Like, they were probably the best part. But, like, it just felt all CGI and absolutely no substance. Like, disappointed in you, Warcraft. Should have been good, but you weren't. 9. Bad Santa 2. Why did they make a second Bad Santa movie? Did anyone ask for a Bad Santa movie? Like, it was 2003? Like, 13 years later, we get a Bad Santa sequel, and it's terrible. It is the laziest comedy, for my money, like, maybe the laziest sequel of the year. The first Bad Santa had this authentic, quirky Christmas spirit to it, despite being edgy and rated R, and it felt like a Christmas movie for people who don't like Christmas movies. This felt nothing like the first one. It made the characters really unlikable. It was nearly the exact same film, except worse, obviously. None of that quirky alternative Christmas spirit. That's not there. It's just replaced with terrible jokes, terrible storytelling, lazy writing, lazy jokes, crass humour, and it is just the most contemptible thing. It annoyed me. Just every character is just so unlikable. and it just ruins the first film. It's like one of those comedy sequels that takes away from the original with how bad the sequel is. I want to stop talking about it. I don't want to see it ever again. I don't want to think about it. I'm done with it. Like, go away. Ugh. And number 8, Collateral Beauty, the most recent addition to this list. Collateral Beauty I would describe as being a bag of testicles. That's what I would compare this movie to. A big bag of balls. Like, why did so many famous actors and actresses sign up to be in this schmaltzy, deceptive, new age spiritual mumbo jumbo codswallop? Like, it's so pretentious. Like, the trailers make it out to be this really intellectual, spiritual journey, like a modern spiritual version of, say, Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life. But the trailers are completely wrong when it comes to the movie. The movie is completely different. They don't tell you in the trailers that that Love, Death and Time are actually actors hired by Will Smith's friends, apparently, because friends obviously hire people to make you to make it look like you are going crazy when you are still mourning the death of your fucking child. Like, Kate Winslet, Edward Norton, Michael Pena, maybe 3 of the worst fucking characters I have seen in a movie all year. Like, and they try to make them sympathetic. Like, these are terrible people and I refuse to feel sympathy for them. This movie is so pretentious yet absolute. It's like really bad froth on a coffee. It's like, it's nothing. It's glossy nothingness. Like, I cannot believe the cast they got for such a shit movie. Why? Like, did they just want a paycheck? I don't understand. Like, oh, it's just so bad. Like, don't go out and see it. Don't give your money to it. Like, I'm gonna say that about a lot of movies, but like, it's so bad, and it should have been good considering the cast, but it wasn't. Stay away. Oh god, what's next? 7. Ice Age 5. Like, why? A 5th Ice Age movie. That franchise was dead after 3 movies. And now they are still milking it. It's disgusting. Like, it's not even milk coming out of that cow anymore. That cow is dead and they are just milking dust from a dead cow. That is what I would describe the Ice Age franchise at this stage. It's cliche. The animation isn't special whatsoever. The story is completely just stupid. Like, aliens and fucking meteors and like, didn't you do this like a few movies ago? But do I care? No, just kill this franchise, or at least send it to DVD or whatever. Stop putting them in the cinemas. No one wants to see another Ice Age movie. This franchise is dead. It is extinct. Stop milking it. This has been a really good year for animated films, but Ice Age 5 is the trough. It is the lowest of the low. Like, the children shouldn't even like this. Don't show it to your kids. It will make them stupid. God. Ugh, number 6. Alice Through the Looking Glass. Because didn't we all need another live action Alice in Wonderland? Because the first one was so good, wasn't it? I'm being sarcastic, by the way. It wasn't good. Tim Burton's one wasn't good, and this one without Tim Burton still isn't good. Johnny Depp, stop. Stop, for the love of all that is holy. Stop it with these idiotic make-up cartoon characters that it's so cliche right now. You've done it to death. Like, this whole movie is just, it's so bad. Like, the plot is all over the shop. It's supposed to be time travel, and then Sacha Baron Cohen is there doing some weird impression of like the love child of Werner Herzog and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I don't know, okay? It feels like Borat is trying to do a German accent, and it's just He's the best part in the movie, and I'm still tearing him to bits about it. That shows you how bad the rest of the film is. Like, so many, like, there's acting talent here. Johnny Depp is a good actor. It's just he doesn't show it when he's head to toe in makeup and giving a phoned in, over the top cartoon character like he's been doing for the last, what, 12, 13, God, 14 years. Like, that's how old this whole shtick, his whole shtick is dead at this point. Like, he needs to stop doing this. And they need to stop making Alice in Wonderland films, because one, this bombed, and two, it's shit, which is why it's on the list. You know, and oh god, the worst thing in this movie, just Anne Hathaway. And I'm not someone who just shits on Anne Hathaway. Like, I like her in certain films, but this movie, I just wanted to punch her in the face. And I know she's a woman, but I still wanted to punch her in the face, because the entire movie, she's just doing this, you know, like, just stop doing that! Stop it! Stop it! And she's doing it the whole movie. Like, it's not just one scene, it's everything. And just, oh my god. I'm going to stop talking about it now, because there's still a whole nother list to do. But just, I hated this movie. But it didn't make top 5, so what the fuck does that say about everything else on the list? Number 5, Girl on the Train. Whew, this one is bad. So bad. Like, it is the worst rip-off of Gone Girl you will ever see. Like, this is trying so hard, and for every try it makes, it fails so much. It's just like, it's an interesting premise, but just the writing is laughable. You could make Saturday Night Live sketches about this movie and it would be better than the movie. Emily Blunt is a terrific actress. She might be one of the best working in Hollywood today, and she gives it her fucking all in this movie, but even an actress of her caliber cannot save this movie, and her character in it is so unlikable. She's a fucking train wreck, and they try to make you feel sympathy for her, but you don't, because she is just not a good person. She's a creep. She's creep of the fucking week. And yet, this whole movie, just, that's every female character. Every female character is written weak. You know, they are weak people in this movie. All the women characters are written to be weak. And if that's sexist, then God, you should see what they do with the male characters, because every male character in this movie is either an idiot, a liar, an abusive asshole, or a fucking murderer. I'm not even kidding. This movie is so bad, it offends both genders. Don't see it. It is bad. Oh, God. This list is just driving me fucking nuts. 4. The Divergent series Allegiant. I wish it was allergic, because that's what I wished I was to this movie. This is the worst young adult movie I think I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of really bad YA adaptation books. Like, just to let you know, like, I haven't read any of the Allegiant books, but I have a friend who has, and they said when the 3rd book came out, they didn't even finish it. That, like, the book itself is shit. So imagine the movie would be even shitter. And it is shitter. It's like, none of the actors in this movie give a flying fuck. Like, Shailene Woodley, Miles Teller, Ansel Elgort, they have all moved on at this point. They are beyond this franchise, and they know it. And the adult actors, like, you know, Jeff Daniels and Naomi Watts and Octavia Spencer, they are above this. Like, everyone involved in this movie is above this. This is a movie that should be playing on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it probably will, because this movie is so bad, and it tanked so bad, that the sequel is going to be a TV movie. Like, it's just terrible. Don't see it. No one cares about this movie. I don't think the fans of the series even cared about it, because the book was so bad they didn't even fucking read it. Ugh. 9 Lives. my number 3. 9 Lives. One question. Kevin Spacey, why? Why did you appear in this movie? Why? Like, you have won Oscars. You are an Oscar winner. You are on House of Cards. You are one of the best actors of the last 20, 30 years. Why are you in this movie about a fucking cat? Why? Are you not above this? Are you not above this? Christopher Walken, are you not above this? Like, I would watch Kevin Spacey and Christopher Walken in a movie no matter what. Except this. Like, Kevin Spacey gets turned into a cat. That is the fucking Shaggy Dog, and I thought we were beyond the Shaggy Dog as a society. I thought we were beyond movies like this, but apparently we weren't. But the only good thing about this movie is it got sandbagged entirely upon its release, and that is the shining light of this entire list. That 9 Lives did terrible. I really didn't like it. This is a movie so bad it would turn a cat person into a dog person. I'm gonna leave it at that. Mother's Day, my number 2. Gary Marshall, God rest in peace, mate. But because you made some good movies in your lifetime. You made Pretty Woman, and I loved that movie. But you also made Mother's Day. What happened to you? Like, I know you're dead, but what happened to you, mate? Like, did you start to like making shit? Like, that's the only way I could answer that question. Like, you made Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve, and now this. You made a trilogy of terrible calendar movies with ensemble movies. Sorry, I can't even pronounce the fucking word because I'm just so angry at fucking Mother's Day. You make these terrible calendar movies with this A-list cast, or in this case, a fucking B-list cast. It started off as an A-list cast, then it went to a B-list and then a C-list. That just shows you the massive decrease in quality. Like, no one cared about this movie. Like, it didn't even do very well. But it's like, he must have just started to enjoy making shit. And this might be the worst of the lot. Might be worse than Valentine's Day. This might be worse than New Year's Eve. And that is saying something, because those two movies are abysmal. With a capital A and a capital whatever the rest you spell abysmal with. Jesus. The only term I can use to describe Mother's Day is white people problems. That is the only thing happening in this movie. White people problems. Like, wafer thin characters you don't give a fuck about. Stories that you don't fucking care about. Just combining to make schmaltzy, fake, sentimental bullshit. This is the movie of the year when it comes to fucking racist characters. There are 2 racist characters in this, and they could not be more racist if you dressed them up like Klan members. And it's just offensive what happens with that story. You know, a racist woman defeats racism by the power of fucking Skype. Like, what? Skype defeats racism in this movie. I shit you not. In 2016, they actually did something like that. And I'm not a social justice warrior. I just know when something is bollocks, and Mother's Day is the worst of bollocks. What's worse than the worst of bollocks? Like, what's number 1 after all of that? I'll tell you what number 1 is. It's Gods of Egypt. Gods of fucking Egypt. A movie that would set cinema itself back 20 years. Like, special effects have been fucking sent back 50 years by this movie. It's just horrible looking. It's horrible CGI, horrible story, terrible acting. Like, Gerard Butler overacting is a poor man's Nicolas Cage. Like, I'm just putting that out there. Like, he's bad in this movie. Why is Chadwick Boseman in it? Why is he doing a terrible RuPaul impression? Why is the CGI worse than the bleeding apps on the iPhone that you can make special effects with? Those apps make better special effects than Gods of Egypt had. And Gods of Egypt was directed by the guy who made The Crow If you want to talk about Gary Marshall falling from grace, what happened to this guy? This guy's still alive to fucking bash about this movie. Like, what is his... I don't know what happened in his life, but somehow he went from The Crow to Gods of Egypt. That's a fucking drop, mate. That's a fucking drop. Like, there was actors in this movie that I liked, you know. I can't pronounce his name, but Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones in this movie, he needs to fire his agent. Because apart from Game of Thrones, he is in nothing but shit. Like, he was in The Other Woman, now he's in this. Be in good movies, Kingslayer. Oh my god, I don't want to talk about Gods of Egypt much longer, but just do not see it. It is the worst movie of the year. I really did think about walking out of the cinema during this movie, and I have never walked out of a movie before, and I fucking pride myself on that. But Gods of Egypt really made me consider throwing that all away. Like, in 19 years I've never walked out of a movie. This movie was the closest I've ever came to actually walking out. The only way you could enjoy this movie is if you have some friends, you get drunk, and I'm not talking about regular drunk, I'm talking about in a state of which, you know, you're 5 minutes of drinking away from being in a hangover movie. Like, you know, like that whole portion in the hangover between them starting the night and them in the morning when they wake up. Within that space of time, that is the level of just off your fucking face you need to be to enjoy Gods of Egypt. And in any case, that enjoyment would be taking the mickey out of this movie, taking a mickey and a half out of this movie, because it is Mystery Science Theater level of bad. It is The Room level of bad. It is The Room with slightly worse special effects and no Tommy Wiseau. It is The Room without the fun. Like, it is so bad. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Avoid it like the plague. And with that, the terrible, god-awful year that is 2016 is done. These are the worst movies. You have seen what I'm like when I get angry about movies. This is probably going to get more likes than any of my videos beforehand, if any of us even bother watching it. But if you have your own lists of the worst films of the year, put them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Macho Movie Man, and I'll be back next year for more Macho Movie goodness. Ooh yeah.